it is. Flip it. Let's move.
Hi, welcome to Dead Principles. Today I would like to talk about AI slop and how much I hate it. And I bet you do too, because I don't think anybody asked for this crap. And yet YouTube is rapidly filling up with it. I know my feed, it's just an endless supply of it. And it's things that I don't even look for, like movie reviews. I don't watch movie reviews. Why do they keep showing up in my feed? I don't want to hear a human being do this. So why the hell would I want to hear AI do it? Some stupid generic, one of like five voices. They constantly mispronounce words. They don't even make any sense. Like, it's just, it's not even good background noise. That's how bad it is. So it drives me crazy. And of course, and there's no way to get rid of it. I wish, why is there not a filter on YouTube that I can click that says no AI? I don't want it. I don't want to support it. There's nothing good about it. I hate it all. And now there's a new kind of AI slop that I don't really hate it more than the old stuff. I think I hate it just as much, but it's these deep fakes, which I don't know what the intention of that is, but I feel like it's bad intentions because the very first deep fake I saw was that Judge Frank Caprio. That's right, Judge Frank Caprio, that lovable judge from Rhode Island. And I was confused because when I initially saw it, I knew he was already dead because I had remembered reading an article about the fact that he had died, and I was sad about it because he seemed like a sweet guy. So then I saw this video of Judge Frank, telling a story about how Barron Trump was in his courtroom on assault charges, and the judge found him guilty, which it was like a felony and it was going to lead to jail time. And I knew immediately that wasn't true because I'm enough of a news junkie to feel confident that if Barron Trump had ever gone to trial for assault, I would have read about it. And so I knew that this had never happened, but I was very confused what the purpose of this deep fake video was. And I mean, I'm sure that there were people who would believe that if they're disconnected enough from the news and the realities of day-to-day things happening, that they might believe it. And since then I have seen many more deep fakes, some with notable, like recognizable faces, like Jon Stewart. That's one I've seen more recently, and some different political commentators, and some of them are just like random. They just seem like random faces, but they're all definitely AI pretending to be humans. Not particularly well. I mean, it's still pretty easy to spot the unrealness of it. Although it does take a little bit longer because when you see a human face on the screen, you kind of automatically assume it's real, unless you're paying attention. But they still mispronounce words. They only speak in an entirely monotone voice. They stare directly ahead constantly. There's very little head motion at all. Their eyes don't seem to move around. They're just staring dead ahead the whole time. And their blinking is not natural at all. And I really don't like it. Like I say, I'm able to identify it, but I don't like it, and I don't want it on my screen, and I definitely would never request anything like that or seek anything like that out. But it keeps showing up in my feed just like other AI crap, or AI slop, I guess I should say, AI slop crap. But I really hate it. I really, really hate it. I don't want to support AI in any way, shape, or form. I'm sick of seeing commercials made with AI, and I don't even want to support the companies that use AI in their advertising. And I also am sick of AI companies trying to convince me that I should be using AI more and trying to convince all of us that we should use AI more. The reason why they're doing that is because they know it has very few actual meaningful uses right now for the everyday person, but they need every single person to use it in order to justify their stock evaluations. In order to get higher stock evaluations, they have to prove that people are using it. So they're just going to keep trying to say, hey, use AI for this instead of just, using a search engine by itself. Like, basically, they're like, like, as far as I can tell, AI is just Ask Jeeves. I don't know. That's an old reference at this point, but basically, Ask Jeeves was just like it was an app that would basically just sit on top of a search engine, and then you would type your question to Ask Jeeves, and then Ask Jeeves would Google it for you. That's it. And that's all that I'm getting from this AI stuff now is like, oh, how do we plan our vacation? Let's ask an AI thing to do it for us. But the amount of effort it takes to ask the AI to plan your vacation is equivalent to just doing a few searches on your own. Like, where's a nice place to vacation? Okay, there's one step. And then, okay, let's map out this trip. And then, okay, what's the weather going to be like? So you look up a weather app, you look up, a map app, and you look up a search engine, and you are accomplishing everything you need to make your vacation plans. Why does AI have to be involved with this? That seems like no less work. And at the same time, it's burning way more energy and probably killing a forest somewhere, or at least draining some rural community of its water supply in order for you to bolster the stats for this AI so that the jerk in charge can justify convincing people to fire you and everyone you know and letting AI take over your workload instead. What? This is stupid. Why do they really think we're all just going to continue to act against our own best interests over and over again just to justify their stupid ideas? Because that's what it seems like it is. And I resent the hell out of it. And I resent these people for even trying. I mean, it's the same approach that they used for cameras in cell phones. They were like when the first cameras came out, no one had ever had a camera in their phone before, and then they had to like invent circumstances where it would be useful to have this to justify it. They're like, well, now we have this technology, we have to find a use for it, because that's what they always do. They come up with something and then they have to manufacture uses for it to try to trick people into spending more money on something that they don't really need. And then eventually over time things catch up. So like now there's TikTok and whatever. So now there's more of a justification for having a camera on your phone. But when it first came out, nobody had ever had that before. And, a lot of people didn't want to pay for it, understandably. So they'd have to show a picture of a pig drinking a cappuccino and to convince everyone, like, this is something you might run across in your real life, except none of us ever did. It's stupid. It's stupid. It's just tech assholes trying to get rich off of you. And I'm sick of it because what do they do with their money? Nothing good. They buy gigantic yachts that mess up local bridges if they crash into them, or they rent out foreign cities for their god awful looking weddings, or they just take all your money to buy all the ketamine in the world so that they can stay permanently trapped in a K-hole and I guess piss blood as a result of really that doesn't sound like fun. And that's the thing, if you use something all the time, it's not fun anymore. It's just your normal everyday existence. That makes it boring. Elon should take a break once in a while. Or you could just try to, I don't know, take over the world or whatever. I mean, it's just the CIA in the end, isn't it? It's all the CIA. That's where Peter Thiel started. I still am not sure. Is it Thiel or Teal? I don't know. So I hate AI. I mean, I most especially hate the fact that at the moment, well, I guess at the moment I hate it for a bunch of reasons because I hate data centers and I hate that it's AI is an excuse for asshole managers to cut their staff by huge margins. And they know, I think they know perfectly well that AI can't replace all of their normal workers, but they're so scared that they don't have any idea what's happening in the economy. So they just as soon get rid of anybody who is not immediately essential. Like all these companies overhired during COVID, and they don't want to admit that they made a mistake then. So now AI gives them an excuse to lay a bunch of people off and not look like a failure who made mistakes. Instead, they can look like someone, innovative and cutting edge and progressive, and look at them with the vision of AI future, blah, blah, blah. It's all nonsense. But I mean, if you get high enough up in the executive food chain, then you never really lose your job. You just get shifted around. I mean, no matter how incompetent you are, you just get shifted around because at a certain point, it's like you're one of them, and they don't eat their own. I guess it's just everyone below them that's completely, you know, expendable. So yeah, so I hate AI, and I think actually I really was gonna better organize this, but I didn't. I am wondering more and more if the AI slop wasn't actually like a very specific intended outcome of AI, that they wanted it very specifically for the AI slot. Because like I mean, if you're paying attention to the news today, you've already seen AI generated content suggesting that everyone is thrilled that Maduro's gone. And I'm sure some people are thrilled that he's gone, but I don't think most people are thinking. I don't think most people in Venezuela are thinking about it in that way right now, because what they're thinking about is the fact that a foreign military flew into their city and blew shit up. And now they don't know, and they're being embargoed, like they're surrounded by American ships. And so they don't know, are they still going to be able to get food and medicine? Like, I think that's what most Venezuelans are concerned about today. Politics is lower down the list. And I mean, the VP already took over and everything. So it's not like there's no power vacuum or anything. So yeah, I think more than anything, they're just concerned with their own lives. Yeah, but the point is that AI slop is also really effective propaganda misinformation that can be generated very quickly. You don't even have to like stage. They used to have to at least drag a group of people somewhere and get a camera out and film it and then claim it's something that it's not. Now they don't have to do that. You just do a search for footage that looks like this. You can make some tweaks in the edit and then just pump it out again and say, hey, look at that. This is what's going on today, even though it's not. And on top of that, now you can have John Stewart saying whatever you want to hear him say, or anyone else for that matter. And it's not, like I said, it's not entirely convincing, but this is only one iteration. They're going to keep going through it. So eventually it will be very convincing. And then what? And then what do we do? Because it's already, I mean, there's already so many good reasons to doubt what we are being told by people in authority. And there's a lot of reason to doubt the intentions behind it. But if it's all AI, then there's not even a way to trace it back. You know what I mean? Like and because I mean, all these deep fake channels they're around for like a week at a time. Like the Judge Caprio one, that like I checked just the other day, it's already that channel's been deleted. And I'm sure with any of them, I doubt they stick around for more than a week or two, because they don't want anyone, I don't think, asking too many questions. And it makes me wonder who's behind it, who's paying for it, how much money they're making off of it. Because I mean, we already know, like there's already YouTube commentary people and stuff like that. That it's just a bunch of people stealing somebody else's content and then using that, and or just, I mean, the worst is when it's just you see a little bubble of somebody's face in the corner, and they're just letting someone else's content play, and saying one or two sentences at the end and calling it a day. That's it's just the laziest and most irritating to me, because is it so hard to think for yourself, to come up with your own ideas to talk about? You don't have opinions of your own, you just want to comment on the opinions of some other person that actually put some effort into it. It's lazy, it's just so lazy, and contributes nothing. So yeah, those people suck. I mean, I know a lot of these streamers basically just do that. They just watch other people's stuff all day. Some of them are entertaining enough with it, or they have, enough of their own opinion about something and have enough to add to that conversation that it can be worthwhile. But, that's not the majority of them. The majority of them are some idiot who's just throwing one or two extra words in here or there. It's anyway. I don't want to go through all my pet peeves right now. But so the reason why I'm more concerned about AI stuff is because of the amount of disinformation and misinformation that can now get churned out at, a rapid pace in order to further trick people into believing in a reality that doesn't exist, because it's all generated by AI. That's worrying, and yeah, it's not going to lead to good outcomes. Um, and so that's why I hate that there's not a filter to keep AI out, because I didn't want to see the faceless AI slop that they've been churning out for like a year, a little over a year now, and now the deep fake stuff I like even less, believe it or not, because yeah, the deep fakes are still bouncing around in the uncanny valley, and it's just a disturbing. It's a disturbing thing to watch. It makes me uncomfortable, and also I'm pretty sure that the what they're saying is a bunch of nonsense. Since obviously the Judge Caprio one was complete fabrication. I don't know. I and the thing I wonder about, which, oh man, so there's a documentarian named Adam Curtis who's amazing. If you've never heard of him or seen his works, I highly recommend really anything he's ever made. I think the first thing I saw was The Power of Nightmares, which was great, and Century of Self was very good too. I mean, there's a ton of stuff. Oh, Deerism is a very good one actually, which discusses, you know, how the news basically just gave up on telling us what's actually going on and switched over to storytelling mode, because, explaining the complexities of current events was just too much work for them, I guess. So they decided to go, let's not bother with that. Let's just be basically all opinion based, and then you end up with Fox News and things like that, which doesn't do anybody any good, I don't think. And still, with people talking about Rupert, like, oh, Rupert Murdoch's taking Trump to task. No, he's not. That dude made Trump. That dude made all these Republican scumbags. So anyway, but yeah, so Adam Curtis, a bunch of documentaries, very good. And in one of them, he talked about Vladislav Surkov, who is a guy who I never hear anyone talk about, although I really feel like people should. So Vladislav worked for Putin, not only Putin. I think he worked for the guy, another Russian president as well. But he has a background in the arts and is, I would say, unquestionably a very intelligent person who is also clearly very morally corrupt. He did a lot of things to make it much more difficult for anyone to understand what was really going on. and one approach that I believe he was the one who came up with it was nonlinear warfare, where basically his thinking was if nobody knows what's actually going on, no one can oppose the things that are actually going on. And so he was famous for doing things like supporting all of these different disparate like political action groups in the country. So like everything from, you know, the most peaceful, loving movements to, or like LGBTQ stuff or, women's rights movements, and also skinhead movements, neo-Nazi movements, all these things. Like he supported all of it. And more importantly, when the time was right, he revealed that he was supporting all these different groups. So then suddenly none of these groups could even trust their own membership because they were like, oh God, we've been infiltrated by the government. And then basically everyone would lose confidence in their group, whatever their group was, and nobody knew what to believe in and what was real. And that was exactly what he wanted, because then it became much more difficult to figure out who you needed to be fighting against. And I mean, this is the same thing as, when the Russian military moved into Ukraine, but they were wearing uniforms with no insignias of any kind, and people were just very confused. Who are these people? Where are they from? What's going on? Like, it's harder to fight the enemy if you don't know who the enemy is. And so yeah, there are all these tactics, and all of this stuff. I've seen the exact same tactics being applied, in Great Britain and in the United States. I've noticed this for years and been very disturbed by it, which again is why I didn't understand why no one was talking about this guy, because the information was out there. Yeah, it really seems like, Russian tactics, like the tactics that Russians initially used on their own population and then on populations of other countries, those exact same tactics are being used in the United States, which is not difficult to believe because the Russians were, of course, very influential in Trump's first campaign, which was why Jeff Sessions had to had to bail out because he was like, this is going to end up in jail time, I'm pretty sure. But he was wrong, clearly, because Trump knew the cheat code of just be, I don't know, corrupt enough for the right people. Because, I mean, Justice Roberts is clearly working with him, hand in glove. So, yeah, and I mean, and Trump kind of, is the epitome of nonlinear warfare, because I don't even think he knows what he's talking about most of the time. So when he turns on a dime every day from whatever his last statements were, and nobody know what's the argument? Like, what are you arguing for or against when it comes to him? Because you don't know what he stands for. So how can you oppose it? It's incredibly destructive to the fabric of a country, but it is effective if all you're concerned with is trying to hold on to control. And because everyone has a natural instinct to, you know, establish what the field of battle is before you start fighting. And with Trump, that's impossible to say because it's always moving. It's always changing his direction, his motivations. Nothing is clear except greed. Obviously, greed is, his North Star. That's the only thing that guides him. Greed and ego. Obviously he wants all the money, and he wants to be complimented while he's taking all of the money. Yeah, what I'm confused about is why, this country is continuing to humor him in that way. He has no loyalty to anyone. I don't know what backroom agreements have been made, but I mean, I really think that, if anything goes wrong, Trump's going to throw Rubio under the bus in an instant, like no hesitation, or anyone else for that matter. And Lindsey Graham, I don't know. I mean, Lindsey Graham is just, an Israel shill, so that's his motivation for being in all this stuff, I guess. because yeah, that was a very interesting thing that I recently heard on, I think it's 5149, that guy, about the fact that the Maduro administration was very much moving against Israel, and that might have been a major motivating factor in getting or dropping the hammer on Maduro, basically. Because I mean, obviously, Trump is in Israel's pocket as well. I don't know if Putin has blackmail information on Trump, but I'm positive Israel does. And I mean, considering how close Epstein worked with Israel, that makes a lot of sense. I imagine that, anything that Epstein had on Trump, that the Israeli government has on Trump. And that's probably why I think that's why he keeps saying that, acting like he's not worried for himself, but he's worried for his friends. Because I think the most incriminating stuff is in the hands of Israel, and he knows he's doing everything that they say, so he's not worried about them messing with him. But that only covers him. That doesn't cover people around him and in his circle. So someone's going to get outed whenever these additional 5 million files or whatever it is, whenever those get released. If it's not just well, I mean, I would say if it's not just a bunch of black pages, but even if it is, they'll screw that up so that you can reverse image it and get the unredacted stuff out anyway. That was special and funny. Yeah, nonlinear warfare. I think that's a very big problem that we're dealing with right now, and people don't understand it because they've never heard of it, because nobody's ever heard of Vladislav Surkov except for, Adam Curtis, who told me about it. And I mean, I know I'm not the only one that's watched his documentaries. I'm sure there's a few, I don't know, 1,000 people out there that are aware of this stuff, but I mean, I've never heard any major news channels talk about it. Even YouTube commentary. I mean, I think I've heard his name mentioned maybe once or twice somewhere, but even when it was mentioned, it wasn't really drilled down into, which I need to do at some point because it's worth talking more about that, I think. But for now, the main thing I want to say is just that AI is clearly misinformation, disinformation, and its purpose is just to keep you confused, as confused as possible. Because if you're confused enough, well, I think it's to make us all confused and also angry, both of those things. Because if we're confused, then we don't know who to lash out at, but we're angry, so we want to lash out at someone. And they're hoping, like, government elites, the billionaires basically, are hoping that, we're not going to run into them, because they're in fortified structures or flying around in private jets and helicopters and stuff. So they're hoping that we'll all just fight with one another. I mean, that's the whole purpose of ICE being so awful wherever they go, is, they want to make us angry, and they want to trick people into being violent, because then they have an excuse to be violent back. So, I mean, I feel like that's the end goal of all of this, is just to push people to their limit so they'll fight back against all of the blatant abuse that they're receiving right now. And as soon as that happens, then Trump goes, great, let's send in the military, and trust that the military is going to kill these people, these fellow citizens. Which, I mean, the military is already, in my opinion, crossed several lines. I'd say they need to be prosecuted, but what good would that do? All of the, there's enough corrupt judges that I don't know that that will matter at this point. Yeah, AI slop is bad, but not just for the annoying, obvious reasons. It has deeper malintent that I don't think people are fully aware of. And I think it's going to get worse as it gets better. As the deep fakes become more convincing, they're going to trick more people into believing things that are not true, and that's going to lead to more negative outcomes for all of us. So Please don't support AI in any way, shape, or form if you can help it. I understand some people you're already being told to use AI at your jobs. Fair enough. If you got to do it, you got to do it. But for anyone who doesn't need it, don't use it because it's just burning more energy, raising our energy costs, using more of our water so we won't have to drink, and replacing our jobs with this, really unproven technology that's probably not in the end going to do anything to help us. It's going to destroy us. So, those are my thoughts on AI. I am going to talk more about Vladislav later on and also probably Adam Curtis. So, stay tuned for that. Yeah, I think that's all I have to say for now. Thank you.
Hey, hey, hey. You know what it is. Flip it. Let's move.